Can, I'm very happy that you are again here, and we need to talk about some issues in Turkey. I mean, the last weeks were amazing. The opposition has got now a new leader, and there's a date for the general elections in Turkey.
Exactly. It was really very important week for us. We were expecting a date for the elections, and there were rumors that Erdoğan would, postpone it for a year or so after the earthquake. And the exact day was 18th of June. Now it's an early election. It's really already a surprise for many of the people, because how a government can make an early election after such a big failure during the earthquake, and 100,000 people died. And after this, he's brave enough to go to election. And there were many discussions on how he decided to do the elections earlier.
What's the main thing? Why do you think he got on an early election?
I guess first, he thought that it would be worse in a year or in a month even, because the economic conditions are getting worse, and people are in need of housing at the moment. And construction business is his expertise. He knows how to construct buildings, even though he failed. But he can promise people that he would do his best to, give them new housing. So most probably that's what he will do in the coming 2 months. And he will promise people that a huge attack for the construction industry. And he would promise people new houses. And he would say that without me, you cannot have your houses. And those miserable opposition cannot give you anything. So most probably this will be his slogan. The second thing is 14th of May is an important date for Turkey's history. This is the first elections day. Back in 2050, Turkey had the first election, and one-man rule is changed, and the new government came to power. Interestingly, he's using it as a new start for Turkish democracy, but this time the one-man system is presented by himself. So we are just now using the argument that now it's time for a change from one-man system to a new democracy.
What do you think about the opposition leader? What was amazing for me, that there is a broad alliance from the left to the even far right.
Yeah.
How was it possible that such an alliance occurs?
Thanks to Erdoğan, because this is an anti-Erdoğan alliance. The only common ground for them is trying to get rid of this guy. So it's a anti-Erdoğan party, we can say, So no one can bring them all together except Erdoğan's hatred of Erdoğan, So this is really important, because the opposition had no figure till now. They waited till the elections are declared. And of course, if they would announce it earlier, that would cause some troubles for the new candidate, because Erdoğan was expecting one guy so that he can blame him, or trying to find files about him, etc. He is the main opposition party leader, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. Kılıçdaroğlu is a difficult name for many, most probably German audience. It could be, but he is using Kemal. Kemal is easier, and during the campaign he will use Ben Kemal, means Ich Kemal. So it's a expert from a Turkish movie. In the movie, Kemal is fighting against the gangsters and calling them one by one and saying that I am Kemal, I am coming. So this film is already on, and he's calling the Erdoğan's guys, I'm Kemal, I'm coming, and they are in panic because they know that he will judge them all. So as you said, the opposition is really so broad. For the first time, this is the biggest alliance we ever had in Turkey. As you said, I mean, from the central right to central left, social democrats, communists, some nationalists, some light Islamists, Gülenists, Kurds, Alevis. Amazing. I mean, really, it's hard to believe that they came all together against this regime. So everybody wants to go back to democracy, parliamentarian democracy, and getting rid of not only Erdoğan, but also this one-man system, one-party system. So when it comes to the opposition's performance in the last week, we saw the first public opinion polls, and immediately this guy, Kemal, is on the rise.
That was very surprising to me. Two things. The first thing was when the opposition came together to agree on a candidate, there was a commitment, and suddenly the nationalists resigned from this commitment. But shortly after, like 1 day or 2 days after, they came back and said, okay, we are going with you. What happened there? What was the
it
reason
was
for that?
Friday. On Friday, they gave up and they left the coalition. But during the weekend, there was a huge protest from the people, because people want Erdoğan leave the office. And anyone who, prevent this move would be the target of the people. So there was a huge reaction against her. She's
what kind of reaction?
Yeah, saying that we need unity at the moment. How can you leave this coalition? Because, I mean, that helps Erdoğan.
And was it from the supporters of her party?
No, all of the people. I mean, all the opponents. Because Erdoğan was so happy, of course, because the opposition broke. So he said, you see, I mean, they couldn't even come together in the opposition. Imagine if they come to power, how they can work together. So that's why, I mean, there's a diplomacy in the backstage, and many people worked during the weekend. And on Monday, all of a sudden, she, changed her mind and back to the coalition talks. And now it's stronger, even stronger, because her concern was Kemal is not strong enough against Erdoğan, and she was showing the opinion polls. But he was not the candidate yet. It was just a rumor that he would run against Erdoğan. But she was showing some public opinion polls and saying that two mayors are more, popular running against Erdoğan. So Ankara and Istanbul's mayor. As you know, Istanbul's mayor is so popular. He got back Istanbul from Erdoğan. So then they found a solution, and the solution is giving those two mayors the post of vice president after the election. So with this promise, she get back to the coalition table.
Yeah. That brings me to the second point. Why was Kemal elected? Why was Kemal chosen, not elected?
Yeah.
What I saw from the past was he was always the most boring guy. The one who was not doing the step forward, not the one who was aggressive. What was the reason for him?
Interesting. There are several reasons. And for example, one of them is his age. He's old. He's an old guy. Now, what we need in Turkey is that someone who doesn't have so much ambition for the future of politics, his political career. So he is at the end of the career. And imagine, we need a president who would dissolve presidency and go back to parliamentarian system. So I always giving the example of Rings. What was the name of the film?
Lord of Rings?
Lord of Rings. Lord of Rings. So you have a ring and it's full of power. So your mission is to take the ring and burn it in the mountain, right? Okay. So, but when you have the ring, of course, you would feel that, oh, it's not, what a nice ring. Why should maybe I should keep it, you know? So we need someone who doesn't who's not poisoned by the power of the presidency. So decisive to go to the mountain and burn it. So it shouldn't be so young. So he is the guy with no ambition and at the end of his career. And most probably in 2 years, there will be no president. I mean, a symbolic president as you have in Germany, but not that powerful as Trump or Biden. So that in that sense, he's the guy. Second thing is he's the main opposition party leader. So he has the right to run against Erdoğan. And thirdly, he's been performing so well. Nobody was expecting, he was a bureaucrat, and nobody was expecting him to be so politically motivated and, you know, as a father figure for the whole nation. And he was, you know, he was in the earthquake site during the earthquake. He was, you know, very strong against Erdoğan, and he challenged Erdoğan's gangs, which is a really very powerful move. And he succeeded to bring all those elements in the opposition together. This is a huge success. I mean, to convince the Kurds together with the nationalists, Alevis with Sunnis. Nobody can do this, and he succeeded there. And he deserved this candidacy, I guess.
Yeah. What happened to the mayor of Istanbul? I mean, as you said, he was the guy who was able to win Istanbul against Erdogan's will, and he was prosecuted. Was it a reason that he wasn't?
Yeah, he was the most popular leader candidate for presidency. Everybody was expecting him to run against Erdoğan, but he was not prosecuted. But there was a case against him. I mean, it's like a threat for his political career. And then, but I mean, imagine you're a party leader and your mayor is running instead of you. So politically, it was not right. But they found this formula that he will be the vice president, so that he can, you know, give whole his support to Kemal, and most probably he will be the next one in Turkey's politics. He's young, ambitious, successful. So most probably he would either take care of the party after Kemal would be the president, or he will be the next president maybe.
But when the president is not powerful anymore, and this guy is younger, more ambitious,
yeah,
then it's a strange take.
Yeah, for the, I mean, there's a transition period now. So Turkey will have, if the elections will be successful for the opposition, there will be a kind of transition period from presidential system back to the parliamentarian system. It would take 2 years, 4 years, nobody knows. But I mean, all the institutions would be elaborated, re-elaborated, and, you know, the system will be set up from the beginning. That's why during that time, all the opposing leaders consist of 6 parties and 2 mayors now, 8 of them. So they will be running for, you know, this re-establishment, and they will be the ministers, etc. So most probably from May on, Turkey will have a huge campaign for a re-establishment of the whole republic. It's a huge, huge thing.
Yeah, that gives me another point of view. I mean, this whole coalition, the opposition is leading in the polls way ahead. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, I mean, the opposition needs 1 vote further than the government. So it's like 51% in the first run, if you want to win the elections. So at the moment, it was 40-40 before the candidate, and the rest was undecisive, etc. Now it's 60-40. All of a sudden, no undecisive voters, and 50%, 60% already decided to vote for Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. It's amazing. I mean, this is the first week. But the problem is, or the worry is, Erdoğan hasn't played his cards yet. So we have still 2 months to go. And of course, he has other plans. And everybody is expecting his rabbit coming out of his head, you know. So the worry is he needs a kind of chaos so that people would need a powerful government, powerful leader, you know, to protect them. So he tried this back to 2015. He lost the election in June, and then he asked for an early election again in November. And between June and November, Turkey had like a bloodshed, you know, many suicides, many attacks, bombardments, sabotage, etc. People were in panic, and they voted again for Erdoğan. And 5 million people changed their votes because of this climate of fear. So if he tries again in the coming 2 months, which is expected, then people can change their minds. So this is the main worry of all of us at the moment.
I mean, what I see also very problematic is that now he has got a target.
Yeah,
now he's got Ben Kemal, and he can say, no, Ben.
This is the talk of the town at the moment. I mean, many people are worried that he can be assassinated, the candidate, because they tried several times before. And Erdoğan just last week agreed with Hizbullah.
Oh.
They have a party in Turkey. I mean, they don't have any voters. And so there's no meaning of coming together with a party backed by Hizbullah. But everybody knows that Hizbullah has another talents, you know, to use terror as a political mean. So this is our worry, that now he's preparing something to change the political climate in Turkey.
You said always when Erdogan is going, the threat is that he's not leaving without a bloodshed. I mean, you said maybe he would use blood to change people's minds on the voting machine, but what if he loses? Yeah. Anyways.
Great question. Everybody is asking this. I really don't know. The alternative, I mean, there are several options for him. He can leave the country with his family, or he can wait for the next elections. But come on, I mean, he had lots of crimes. And last week I was in Nuremberg. I visited the court where the Nazi leaders were judged, you know. So I was thinking what kind of a hearing expecting him, because he has himself together with many ministers, together with family members, you know, it's a huge gang now. So now the opposition should decide what shall they do with those guys. How many of them will be in front of the judge? How many of them will be allowed to leave the country? What would happen to their huge salary, huge money they have stolen from Turkish banks system, etc. Or they can negotiate. They can say that, okay, leave the country, bring back the money you keep in Swiss banks, etc. That could be a deal. So, okay, we don't touch you and we will let you go, something like this. Or I don't know, I mean, any other type of deals, but nobody knows at the moment.
I mean, what is also very difficult, under Erdogan, a lot of deals that seem to be legal happen. So people own companies where they forced other people to sell their shares and so on. Yeah. Do you think there will be a pushback on that? I mean, especially in the media system, there is a lot of these.
Imagine, I mean, we are going to an election without a free media. Mm-hmm. That's why we are doing this interview here, but it's very difficult to do it in Turkey. And imagine, there is a Kurdish party I mean, they are the key figure in the elections. They have something like 10% or 12% votes. And now the judges will be deciding next month on if they shut down the party or not. So imagine, I mean, just before the elections, Erdoğan has the power to shut down one of his opposing parties. It's a huge power, of course. And nobody can trust the judges or justice system in Turkey. So, of course, I mean, another problem after the election would be this one, you know, how can you change all this judicial system or media system or economy, you know, so all destroyed. So the opposition will have a huge ruin after this. And hopefully Özgürüz will be going back together with our stuff and building up a new media part of the media system there.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, have you checked flights?
Well, for me, it's a bit difficult because I have something like 27 years of imprisonment already for this MIT truck story, and another 18 years for Gezi Park protests, for provoking the whole Gezi unrest, etc. So something more around, you know, half a century I should spend in jail. So we need an amnesty, not only me, but many of the exiled people or people in jail. So hopefully the new government will declare an amnesty for political prisoners or political cases so that we can go back and the people in jail would be released. Then, of course, I'll be ready to go back. But for my family members, they already checked the flights for the 15th of May.
Well, what I think what might be interesting is if prices of flights are rising or going down. I mean, when they rise, a lot of people want to go back. So that might be a sign of the political feeling, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. In Nuremberg, this film festival, we showed a documentary, and it was about how German exiles during 30s came back to Germany after the war. So very similar situation.
Oh, they came back. I don't know.
Yeah, for example, Ernst Reuter, who was the first mayor of Free Berlin. So he spent 11 years in Turkey in exile, and he worked as an academic. And after the war, he came back together with his family and has become the mayor of Berlin. So it gives you an idea of, you know, the history repeating itself in a different way. And we made a documentary together with his son, Edzard Reuter, who spent his childhood all in Turkey. And imagine we met together as a German in exile in Turkey with a Turkish guy in exile in Germany, and we exchange our experiences. Really interesting stuff. So it's our time now to go back with our experiences and, you know, contribute to our country's building up. Okay,
Can, thank you very much. We will have these kind of discussions till the elections regularly.
With pleasure.
I hope like at least every 2 weeks, but maybe every week. Thank you very much.
I thank you.
Yeah.
With pleasure.